Ladies and gentlemen, hashtag nation, welcome to the second installment of Friday Night Lights. See in the corner, guys, I got my boys Tommy and Mike. Join me once again. So much to talk about. Remember 2 weeks ago, guys, when we were talking about free agency and Brandon Beane said, don't expect much out of us. Has anything really happened? Tommy, I'm going to you first. Then Mike, I'm going to head to you.
Nah, nothing, man. It's been a boring off season, man. I'm shocked that we're here, that we have anything to talk about. No, man. Yeah, he pulled all the cards. He had to. Listen, the AFC is starting to become a problem. Almost every team improved except for the Patriots and Jets. But even the Dolphins improved. All right. So Brandon Beane, I think, saw the writing on the wall. He had to go out and get Von Miller at that point once teams started getting stacked. And I'm loving what I'm seeing. I am. And the magic man, Brandon Beane, impresses again.
Yeah, absolutely. Mike, what do you think? Has this been a quiet offseason so far for our Buffalo Bills?
Extremely quiet. You know, we're still waiting to find out if our key free agent, Rick Bates, comes back. You know, nothing else matters. It's just is he coming back or not? No, it's been fantastic. You know, I know all the fans were tying Chandler Jones to us, really wanting that to happen. You know, and I'll be honest, I was one of them. I'm like, I never thought Von Miller was in the cards. Yeah. I didn't know how he fit with us. I didn't think we'd be able to get him away from LA. He just won a Super Bowl there. He's teamed up with Jalen Ramsey and Aaron Donald, and the bright lights of LA. And with the way he does his his social media stuff and all of his off-field stuff, LA was the perfect spot for him. And he said, "Hey, I want to go play with Josh Allen, Stefon Diggs, and the Buffalo Bills." Brandon Beane said, "Okay, here's all the Pagula bucks. Here you go."
Yeah, we'll get into
that. I would say.
We'll get into all that. And guys, as you're entering the chat, first of all, welcome and thank you for joining us. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button. As we talk about what we're going to do here with Friday Night Lights. Might be every other week type scenario where we go live. We're going to try to get the three of us on here because I think 2 weeks ago and hopefully today, you'll see we have a great time. We have a great time talking about Buffalo Bills football. We have a great time with you guys joining us. So we're going to try to do this every other week leading up to the start of the season where Mike and Tommy will go live again for Tailgate Talk, of course, and then I'll be live, giving you live play and reaction to every single Buffalo Bills game. So we have you covered all season long. Not to mention whatever Paul and Mario are doing. They go crazy sometimes with these videos. They do their stuff too. I want to make sure we get into thank our sponsor, hashtag sports, sponsored by Mr. Rogers Home. Mr. Rogers is a 1% realtor in the state of Arizona. So if you're looking to buy real estate in Arizona, definitely a good resource. Go to any of the hashtag sports videos, and in the description you will see a link to Mr. Rogers Home. So again, we want to thank him for that. So guys, we talked a little about free agency, but normally my first question when I get on here, how are you guys doing tonight? You ready for a great stream?
I am. I absolutely am. And I want to touch on this, and I don't know if this is part of what you have, Joe. If it is, just tell me, we'll get there. But Trust the Process comes in and says, is this Diggs thing real? I don't know if that's part of what we want to discuss, but I think we should touch on it because I'll be perfectly honest. I don't know how real it is. Does he want to get paid? Yes. Do I think he's willing to wait until next offseason to get paid? I do. I don't think he's going to hold out. I don't think he's going to, you have to remember a lot of these guys who held out and got traded, Tiger Hill was in the last year of his deal. Adams was franchise tagged and said, "I'm not playing on that." Right. Diggs still has 2 more years. So I can see us either getting to him right before training camp this year or right after the season next year. I don't think he plays both years under his current deal. I do believe that, we'll get to it. And I have a feeling Beane's already talked to his reps and they know, what it's looking like. The problem is, I think Tommy's talked about it, and a lot of other of the content creators have talked about it. We were clamoring for them to lock him up at that $21 million a year, and they didn't do it. and now it's pushing 30. So.
Yeah, this definitely was going to be one of the topics that I was going to talk about. I brought it up.
Okay.
And I'm going to try to make sure that I put the topics up here somewhere so you guys see what we're talking about when we're talking about it, see how that works for everybody. But Tommy, what do you make of this Stefon Diggs chatter?
I honestly want to, listen, every time he tweets, like people react crazy, right? Could be peanut butter jelly sandwich, and people go, "Oh my God, he's saying he's getting paid like all he can afford to eat peanut butter jelly." Like, I mean, like, dude, like, calm down. It's all good. I will say though, this happens, guys. You pay. We extended him right away. By the way, when we first traded him, when we got him here, he was paid decent. But the problem is, as you go on, the money gets bigger for these guys. So 2-3 years. That's why I was saying with Josh Allen, pay him, get it over with, because his contract's going to wind up being cheap later on, right? And the Josh Allen you watch is going to say, hey, this guy Burrow got paid. Whoa. So that's all Diggs is doing, and I understand it. Diggs is a top 10 receiver, top 5 maybe, right? Depending on the year. So he's going to want that top 5 kind of money. So I don't think it's going to happen this year because I just don't think it can. And then that is going to lie into the following season where it gets tricky because you got the Edmonds deal coming up. You got the Oliver deal coming up. You got guys you got to pay, or at least you got to pay the following season. And you got to kind of figure out, okay, is Diggs worth the 20, whatever,
25.
or should we? Right.
I don't think he's going to ask for top receiver money because he doesn't. Because Josh didn't ask for top quarterback money. But
yeah, he could go.
He wants to win.
Yeah, he could go out there and see what he can get on the market, which Beam may say, yeah, go ahead. He could, and we could go say, you know what, Gabe Davis is next in line. We don't know where Gabe Davis will be at that point.
Lock up Diggs.
Is that we'll see. But yeah, now I would say give him a contract and hopefully he comes back on a team-friendly deal, let's say, but it will be still high.
I want to touch on that. You're talking about the cap. So you have to remember, like this year, yes, we're very low on the cap this year. We don't have much money left at all. But next year, we're projected to have about 27, 28 heading into the offseason, not including if any restructures or cuts or anything like that. And then in the following year is when they're expecting that huge jump, that big TV money. And it's going to go up to like, 250 million cap. And we're going to have like 106 million cap projected.
Right. But I also gotta warn you that a lot of the guys we signed in this off season were 1 to 2 year deals. So we're going to the cap may be going higher for us, but we're going to also have to start worrying about signing some other free agents to fill in the spots that we're losing or extend these guys. Let's say, give you a prime example. Let's say OJ Howard has a very good season. The Bills might want to pay him, and they're going to have a decision to make. Or does he walk? I don't know that yet. I'm just giving you an example.
Yeah, I foresee OJ Howard following the Trubisky plan. He came here for a 1 year, reset your market value, then go out and get your money.
Very possible, Mikey, but very possible he does very well, and Ken Dorsey loves him in the offense and uses the 2 tight end system and says we have to have him. It's very I don't know.
Has to be paid next year too, so it's going to be one or the other.
Well, it's very curious. Very curious. So much. That's what I'm saying. It's so much craziness when it comes to. I wouldn't want the job. Right? I mean, what do you do? There's a lot on your plate. And I feel bad for him, but that's why we call him the Magic Man, right? He makes things happen, and he gets guys here that sign a lot of the times for lower amounts than they would get paid elsewhere. So it's impressive what he does.
Yeah. I mean, you look at last year, the offseason, when we went into the offseason, we had Dare Williams, Mongo, and Milano all come up in contract years, and we thought, oh, we're going to keep one of those guys. Well, we ended up keeping all 3. We didn't think we had a chance to have, like, I didn't think Von Miller would be on the Buffalo Bills. I put that comment up there just a little bit ago. Von Miller was even in our price range, or we could get him, and we did. Brandon Beane has been finding out ways to figure this stuff out. So, Mike, you talked a little bit earlier about trust the process. Well, this is part of it, right? And this conversation has really got me excited because one thing I wanted to touch base on and I want your opinion on this, guys, is I think this is Brandon Beane and the front office's toughest job yet. You talk about a new regime as far as some of the coaching staff. You talk about some of the coaching staff going other places. Coaching staff, mind you, who kind of know what the Buffalo Bills are looking to do in the draft, right? Like, we are setting up big contracts. You're talking about Josh Allen, you talk about Diggs, you talk about Von Miller, and others will come with that. That means we have to have a great draft in order to stay at the top of the AFC East. This is when the scouting team, this is when Brandon Beane, this is when McDermott, this is when Dorsey, this is when Frazier, this is really, to me, their biggest and toughest test yet. Let's see how they do. I mean, they haven't let us down yet, but I think this is the toughest time for Brandon Beane and this front office. Let me know what you think, guys. Tommy, let me know. I'll go you first, and Mike, I'll get your opinion on that.
No, I 100% agree. But I will say this. Brandon Beane's hit every draft. Mm-hmm. I got to say, there's players that we're getting in third round, fourth round that are starters, that are impact players, guys that I had no idea who the hell they were. I mean, I'll be honest, Spencer Brown, I did not know who that was. And look at that. I mean, a third round guy, a guy that nobody knew. So they do their homework. Brandon Beane loves that shit. He goes there to the pro days. He watches these guys. And what I notice about how they draft, they get a lot of guys that have a high ceiling, but they're not quite there yet. And a lot of teams are kind of just, I'm good with that guy. They're under the radar kind of guys. And Brandon Beane loves those guys. And sometimes it works. Cody Ford, no. As of now. And sometimes it does. And sometimes it does. Dawson Knox, Spencer Brown, right? Gregory Rousseau, we'll see. But he started right away. So there's guys out there, and I think that's where Brandon Beane really does the best in these drafts, are in the later rounds. Third round, fourth round, fifth round. That's where we're getting those guys, the steals that nobody's looking at.
Yeah,
Mike, what do you think?
And, I think yes, it's one of the hardest parts, but you have to remember, like what Spin says here in the comments, he says salary cap's a myth. It's not that it's so much a myth. There's ways to manipulate the cap, and Brandon Beane came out and talked about it during his presser. And he said, he has fantastic pro scouts. He has two cap guys. They have two cap guys. They don't just have one. They have two different ones that do this and set it up. And then they work with, the Pagulas to figure out how they're going to structure these things. So he doesn't have to get into a Saints thing where he has to find out how to clear $100 million. They have a plan. Beane has a plan. Beane is that guy who doesn't ever go too crazy. Von Miller was a huge signing, more than he wanted to pay, and he came out and he said it. But they set it up to where it didn't hurt their long-term plan. He has a plan, he sticks with it, and you know what? He said goodbye to a lot of people. Earlier on it was Shaq and Jordan. They both came back this year. This year it was Levi and Harrison and possibly Rick Bates. Who knows? In a couple of years they may come back.
Right.
He does it right. He shoots it straight with the guys and says, "Hey, go out and get your value." Beasley came to them and asked them to release him. He said, "I need to find a better spot for me, and my family." He didn't want to play in New York anymore. Had nothing to do with the Bills. It was just where we play. He didn't like it. So they shook hands and they moved on. I like what he's doing. He has a plan. I'm saying trust him. He's yet to fail us.
Yeah. I mean, he's got the credentials right now, right? To say, hey, trust me, guys. And for me, it all starts with the culture. We talk about building a culture. I mean, you talk about Von Miller and talk about Isaiah McKenzie. Like Isaiah McKenzie said last year, he'd come back for some candy or something like that. You talk about a culture where players want, and Bills fans aren't used to this, and it's hard to get this in Buffalo nonetheless. Players want to come and play here. Even Cole wanted to come and play here for 2 years at least before he realized, this might not be the best situation for my family. And you can, and this is me, new dad, all that kind of stuff. You can never knock a guy for trying to do what's best for his family, right? Like, you can't do that. And so, Cole, thank you so much for your time. We wish you the best and wish your family the best, obviously, and good luck. So we're talking a little about free agents reaction right now. Again, last time we were with you guys 2 weeks ago, free agency hadn't even started yet, and we were talking about how it might be a quiet free agency. Well, it hasn't been. We joked a little earlier, but it has not been a quiet free agency. So I want to talk reactions. I want to do it March Madness style. So I'm going to give you a team currently in March Madness and give you a little story behind them if you don't follow basketball. And you tell me which, I'll go both of you, and you tell me who is this guy that we've signed in free agency that fits this bill to you. And I'm going to start with Duke. Duke, Coach K leaving, right? So you got that feel-good story, winning a close game yesterday, going to the Elite Eight. So who's your feel-good story free agent free agent signing that the Bills have signed so far as free agent? Guys, let me know in the chat who you think. And Mike, I'm going to start with you. Then we'll go to Tommy. Who do you guys think is that feel-good?
Coach K is not a feel-good story. Duke is the enemy. Always and forever.
That's right.
Duke is the enemy. Always and forever. Now, Coach K coaching Team USA kind of brought me around. See, I'm a North Carolina fan, and I have been since I was little. So he's always been the enemy. Unfortunately, I learned to respect him when he coached Team USA, and I heard a lot of the stories about him. I'm like, okay, you kind of got to respect the guy. But he's an enemy. He can't win it. He can't go out. Can't retire winning a national championship. Can't happen. So anyways, I will play your game. I had to just get that off. Coach K is not a feel-good story. My feel-good story is definitely, the Phillips and Lawson coming back. I mean, two guys that went out, got their money. It didn't work where they were at. They didn't like what was going on. Shaq, I felt, was kind of done wrong. He went to Miami, had a really good season for Miami. Then they dealt him to Houston and that Tire Fire organization. Got let go. Got claimed by the Jets, another Tire Fire organization. Didn't have a real positive season. Got released. Come back home. So those two are probably my feel good stories of the signings. I liked them both when they were here. I didn't want to let them go. Shaq had 7.5 sacks his last season. Jordan Phillips had 9. They were, the D line. I think that was the last time we had a really solid D line, was when those two guys were here.
Yeah, Tommy, who's your feel good draft pick, free agent pickup?
Feel good draft pick. I want to say, I'm gonna throw something out there. See, because he kind of stole my thunder on the Phillips thing. Because Phillips, I love Jordan Phillips.
Don't steal my thunder. You don't steal my thunder. I'll give it to you first. But don't steal my thunder. That's all I'm saying. Go ahead, Tommy, but don't steal my thunder.
You ready for this one, guys?
Yeah.
It's not a player. It's Aaron Kromer.
Okay.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Listen, guys, the one thing we've been lacking is this offensive line's been soft and can't get it right. Guys just not playing up to their ability. We're bringing in a dog of an offensive line coach, a guy that's had top 5 offensive line in the league. I believe he won a Super Bowl with the Saints. He was here before when we had a dog offensive line in the past. And I think, man, with the addition of Kromer, is going to get this offensive line going, guys. We already added Saffold, which is a guy that played for Kromer, which is a big boy. Yes, he's older, but boy, when he's on, and he gets hurt, but he comes right back in the game. He's one of those players that he doesn't really miss many games. And who knows, he may get Cody Ford, hopefully, better. And if he doesn't, then Cody Ford is just not going to last on the team. But my point is, Kromer is the guy. That's the feel-good story. I'm glad to have him back at Buffalo, and I'm glad and hopefully he gets this offensive line back on track.
Adding a piece to Kromer, what a lot of people aren't talking about is Kromer is going to be our run game coordinator also.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yes, you're right. And I want to throw a real quick bonus in there. Mike Shula was also a big
honorable mention.
Yeah,
because Mike Shula brings the connection. He already has it with McDermott and Dorsey, and he sat in every chair Dorsey sat in. So it's another former OC that Dorsey can bounce something off of. Yeah. It's fantastic.
Been there, done that. Done that.
All right, so you didn't steal my thunder, Tommy, so I appreciate that. So I'm going to go with Matt Barkley. Right, Matt Barkley might not be on this team for long, and as Mike said, hopefully for him, Duke isn't here that long either, right? But Matt Barkley was here 2018, 2020. So he knows Josh Allen. He knows this system. Again, it might be Case Keenum as the backup. But I like Matt Barkley coming back. Someone that Josh Allen's familiar with. And obviously it's going to be a cheap deal. So I'm a fan of that. So, all right, moving on. We're going to go with St. Peter's, right? A 15 seed right now in the Sweet 16, and actually they're about 25 seconds away from moving to the Elite 8 right now, so that's pretty exciting. Who is your Cinderella free agent pick by the Buffalo Bills? Go ahead, Tommy. Who's your Cinderella?
The Hurricanes, baby. Miami Hurricanes going all the way, man. I'm going to say, God, the easy one would be a Von Miller, right? But I'm going to say OJ. No, yeah, I'm gonna stick with it. OJ Howard. I think, man. I think this guy. Listen, he was a freak coming out of the draft, out of college. He has all of the abilities to be a dog in this league, and he just, didn't get it together in Tampa. But maybe he shines here in Buffalo, and I just can't wait to see him under this offense with Josh Allen, with Ken Dorsey calling the plays. If we're going 2 tight end set. Man, Josh Allen's going to have a frenzy, man. This guy, he's a freak athlete. Let's be real here. He has the speed. He has the size. When we get in the red zone, what did we struggle last year, guys, early on? Red zone. Having a guy that tall in the red zone who's a freak athlete like that can go up and get the ball is what we've been missing. And I think he could be that guy this year that surprises a lot of people, that finally comes out and plays where what people thought he was going to be coming into the NFL.
All right, Mike, what do you think?
Before I answer, Jance Sports is in the chat.
Hey, Jance, my buddy, man.
Yeah, asked about what we thought about Breece Hall or Kenneth Walker in the first. You don't take a running back in round 1.
I like Breece Hall
too.
And guys, we will talk about more draft stuff. There are going to be 2 more shows between here and the draft that we have scheduled right now that will pretty much be primarily focused on the draft. So I promise we'll get there. But right now we're just reacting to so much going on. And we know that others have reacted, but they reacted kind of right away. We've had time to soak it in and figure this out. So Mike, who is your Cinderella story?
Duke Johnson.
Who?
I think Duke Johnson.
The new Duke.
Yeah, the new Duke. This guy has been touted as a third down running back, a guy who can run between the tackles, has all this talent, and everywhere he's been just hasn't been quite used correctly. Knowing how much brain power we have in the room between Brady and Shula and Dorsey, I have a feeling this is going to be the year that they figure out how to use this guy. He's not going to be an every down running back. He's going to probably be our third down back that they use, that they can flex inside, outside. And I can now picture this. Picture McKenzie and Duke in the backfield together, and one of them motions out.
Yeah.
That's right.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it a lot.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And as Rick and Dan come in and say St. Peter's wins. So the Cinderella story moves on. My Cinderella story, the free agent pickup I really like, who might not get talked about as much just due to everything else going on in Buffalo, Tim Settle, defensive tackle. I love this pick. I think this is a wonderful pick for the Buffalo Bills. Someone who kind of went under the radar, someone that's not really talked about all that much. But you're talking about a 4-year starter in Washington, talking about depth at the defensive tackle position. This guy is a big guy, and I really like this pickup, and I think that he is going to make a difference on that defensive line as soon as this year. I think that, one thing I really like about Leslie Frazier, which I always have liked about Leslie Frazier, is that he knows how to use guys. He knows how to utilize them to the best of their abilities, and I think this will fit Tim Settle really well. So that is my Cinderella.
Another piece to Settle is he has that one tech, 3 tech flex. He's a primarily backup 1 tech, but in those big packages that they're gonna run him at 3 or DN because he has that, like, same with Oliver. He has that same type of, like, I can imagine a big line of Oliver at one end, Phillips, Daquan Jones, and Settle as your 4D lineman.
Yeah.
On goal line.
Yeah. And this D line is just amazing the way they rotate in and out. Now I know, Tommy, you talk about how you don't like that sometimes. I get that, but it could definitely be scary for sure. All right, so then who is your? And I think for most people it's gonna be the same guy. So I'll hear it in the chat, I'm sure. But who is your number one seed? Who is? I guess Kansas is the only number one seed left. So who's your Kansas? Who's the guy that you just fall in love with the moment you see it? I'm going to go a little different route. I'm actually going to go with Tommy's earlier pick. I'm going to go with O.J. Howard here as my number one guy coming out of the draft. I loved O.J. Howard coming out of the draft, and I wanted the Bills to get him then. I think O.J. Howard opens up this offense to a whole different level. I mean, we saw what a great. Now, I'm not saying that we will have a great 1-2 tight end combination right away. But the way Dawson Knox has progressed from year 1 to year 2, from year 2 to year 3, if he continues to progress like that, we're going to be talking nothing but great things about Dawson Knox. And we already know what O.J. Howard can do. It took him a few years to get acclimated to the NFL. Tom Brady being on your team always helps. You catch a few balls here and there. But Josh Allen can thread the needle, and he is a pretty good quarterback himself. So I think for me, my number one bang, obviously Vaughn, right? You've got to talk about Vaughn. I'm sure one of you will pick that one, pick the low-hanging fruit. But I love O.J. Howard. Go ahead, Tommy. Who is your number one?
It's Von Miller. It's Von Miller. and I obviously, I want to be different and pick somebody different, but it is Von Miller. Okay. Listen, we were talking about this earlier, guys. Von Miller, it's not just so much what he does on the field. It's what he's going to do in the locker room. It's what he's going to do in training camp. He's going to make players, around him better. Don't forget he's going to make the offensive line better because he's going to be going against guys like Spencer Brown, and Cody Ford. He's going to teach these guys the tricks and what he's looking for, going against an offensive lineman. So I think he just impacts a team altogether in such a good way. And then everybody's going to eat, man, when game time starts. And that's why he's one of the best to do it. And we have him on our team, and we should be lucky that we have him. So Von Miller, for sure. And that's why we went ahead and paid the big bucks.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead, Mike.
Mine's kind of split. And I was talking about this pre-show, and I didn't think about it. I was going to say Daquan Jones because Daquan Jones is that big one tech we've been waiting for. He's a game wrecker. He's that big monster dude that will take up 2, that will keep our linebackers clean. But the sneaky one is Crowder.
Yeah,
in that slot, man, Crowder's dangerous, and he's been playing with crappy quarterbacks and putting up decent numbers. Now he's going to get with Josh, where he's no longer really look at that Jets offense. He was their main weapon. Now he's going to go be weapon number 4, 5 on this team.
Right.
Imagine what he can do with single coverage all the time. That's a sneaky good signing, is Crowder.
Yeah, but cheap signing too, Mikey.
Yeah, that Daquan signing was the one that I've been waiting for 2 years now. Give me that big one tech that can actually do it. Instead of getting him in the draft and hoping he can do it, they went out and bought a veteran who's done it.
Yeah. The funny thing about Jamison Crowder, he has been that guy who's kind of broke our back. If anyone has broke our back when we play the Jets, it's been Jamison Crowder. 3rd and 6, he picks up 7 every time. But when someone said, or when I saw how his age, he's actually not as old as I thought he was. I thought this guy was catching passes with Chad Pennington. I thought this guy has been around forever because you just always hear his name because he's just consistent. So yeah, Mike, to have that kind of consistency on our team as the 4th, 5th, 6th guy, just get out of here with this offense. It's going to be ridiculous. All right, but we have to. I'm gonna bring some sour news here, or some sour takes, I should say. Who's Baylor? Who is the one guy that just isn't going to live up to stuff? If you had to pick one guy right now in free agency that you're like, is this guy really going to cut it for the Buffalo Bills? Maybe not even make the team this year. Now, there's a lot of cheap signings, so none of them are going to be at Baylor. But who's the guy for you that you don't think is the best signing for the Buffalo Bills? Mike, I'm going to start with you.
Marco Lee. We signed him last year and we cut him. I don't understand bringing him back. I didn't like it. I know Tommy's he's gonna say Barkley. He hates Barkley. But really, Marquel Lee, kind of falls in that category. Trying to think of who else we signed that could kind of fall in that category, because I liked almost all of our signings. There's very few I'm like, oh no,
Right.
Really?
Yeah.
Jones, we brought back Taiwan Jones.
Yeah.
I don't understand that one.
Okay.
Like, we should, even if it's dirt cheap, like, use that money to re-sign Bates, or get, for someone who said we have to protect Josh Allen, we haven't done anything in the offensive line outside of release guys. So those are probably the two that I would say: Marquel Lee and Jones,
or a vet cornerback.
Yeah.
What are you doing there?
Anyways, those are my two.
All right, so Mike already let us know who Tommy's has, but Tommy, you can say it.
Listen, at first it was Barkley, okay, until we went and got a backup. Can I repeat it? A backup quarterback. Cool, whatever. Barkley can be the swinging towel guy on the side. I'm good with that. Like, so yeah, woo, Barkley back. But Taiwan Jones, I got to admit, with Mike, at first I was cool with it because he is a very good special teams player, and for some reason, listen, McDermott loves the special team guys. Like, he's always like, that's his thing. Got to ask special teams guys. But yeah, man, listen, there's some solid cornerbacks out there still, like vet guys that I would love to bring in. Could have used the money somewhere on one of these guys. We're very thin at corner. We're very thin at offensive line. Let's be real. One of these guys go down. Let's say Saffold goes down or something, or whatever. Let's say Bates don't come back. I mean, like, we're really thin. So the money could have been used elsewhere. That's my only complaint. Other than that, I absolutely loved the free agent picks. I did. I thought all of them came with a reasonable price tag as well.
Yeah.
All the deals were, except for Vaughn, which is fine. I was totally okay with, because that's the one player I was talking to Mikey. That's the one guy I'm like, okay, you know what? If you're going to overpay a little bit for a guy, that's the guy I do. Like, I understand why. But like the rest, everybody came at a decent deal. And Brandon Beane did it like 1-2 years. Like, nobody got this massive 5-year. We're stuck. So everybody I like. The Barkley one I didn't like at first. But like I said, look, we made a trade. He got a quality backup. So yeah, I would say Taiwan Jones, just because you could have used the money elsewhere.
I'm actually Mike, you're gonna be upset with this one because you used him earlier. Duke. Duke.
No.
I think of the running backs we've signed previously. Matt Breida last year, TJ Yeldon. Did they really utilize them correctly? Now you could say that's stable, and hopefully Ken Dorsey does something differently. Does this mean we get rid of Singletary? Like, what does this mean? If Singletary and Moss are still there, they're going to only carry two active guys. So does that mean Singletary is not going to be active most of the season, or is that Duke? So I just,
Moss.
Yeah,
Moss will be the deactivated player, because they're going to address Jones for special teams. And then they'll probably, Singletaries are 1A. He's right. Listen, he's earned it. I was not a Singletary guy going into last year. And every week, Tommy's like, it's Singletary, man. Watch. You know what? I'm done doubting that kid. He got better and better as the year went. And so it comes down to Duke versus Moss. And Moss hasn't shown us anything yet.
No.
Well, last year at this point, most Bills fans were dogging Singletary too. Like, that's beyond, because 2 years ago at the end of the year,
run into the back of his own guy with a wide open hole right next to it.
Exactly, and he's still, even with a bad offensive line, Joe. Mind you, I'll repeat it, a bad offensive line for most of the season until we put Bates at guard. He was still getting like 4 point something a carry.
Tommy, please don't confuse what I'm saying. For the past 3 years, I've been yelling that there's nothing wrong with our running backs. When everyone's been on me about what's going on with the running backs, I've been saying nothing.
Spin.
It's our offensive line. What's going on?
Spin comes in and says his least favorite is the J.D. McKissick signing.
Mine too.
Do you think JD would have stayed if we would have signed him after Von Miller? Like, he was like, I'm coming to Buffalo. But yeah, that has to be the least favorite right there. But yeah, so I would have to say I want to see what happens with Duke, but I think if there's a chance for one to be a bust, I'm looking at Duke.
I just watched Duke at the end of last year, Joe, and with Miami, the last 4, 5, 6 games once he got picked up, he put good tape. He put good tape out there.
Yeah, he showed out. He
showed out. He was running hard and running over people too, as a little third down back type of guy.
Yep.
You know, he showed me something, and and playing for a team that had no chance of making it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Hey, I hope we're all wrong.
I do agree with you, Joe, though, on a 3 running back system. We tried it in the past and it did not work. We did it with TJ Yeldon. Yep. We did it with Matt Breida. Yep. It just falls.
They brought in TJ Yeldon and Matt Breida.
No, it doesn't. But listen, TJ Yeldon wasn't a bad pass catching back. That's why they signed him.
He just fumbled a lot. That's why he couldn't get on the field.
Right.
Well, same thing. You could say the same thing about Breida too.
Yeah.
Right. Hands of stone. But my point is, listen, coming into this season, we have a whole different coaching staff kind of in offensive, right? You got Aaron Cromer now. That's going to right. You got Ken Dorsey.
Joe Brady.
You got Joe Brady. So who knows this? It might be somewhat similar, but I guarantee you're going to see a lot of twists, a lot of different packages. So we'll see. We'll see how the 3 running back thing goes. But I have to agree with Mike. It's going to be 2 on game day, and I think Moss will be the one out.
Hey, again, hopefully we're all wrong, and all the guys we mentioned are studs. You know, you have Taylor Jones has like 7 block kicks this year, and just we'll be good. We'll be good. All right, so Mike, I'm going to lean on you for this one because Tommy, I know you and I aren't the number guys. But as we end free agency, what's the Buffalo Bills cap space look like?
I think right now we're just shy of negative. Actually, from the last I saw, I think they came out. The NFL cap space thing came out. I saw it said we had like 5 million or something like that, but that was before a couple of the signings. I think we're right at the cap right now. We're holding that 2.4 or whatever for Bates. So if Bates does if they don't match it and they move him on, they'll open that up. But there's still levers that can be pulled. You know, that could free up some more cap space to go out and get a veteran cornerback, another offensive tackle, or whatever. I have a feeling that's not going to happen though until after the draft. I think Bean's going to sit tight until after the draft, find out what he got in the draft, and then backfill if there's any more holes with free agency.
So according to overthecap.com, which is a great site to lean on for salary news, if you're not as smart as Mike over there.
Spot Track.
Yeah, and Spot Track, yep. But according to overthecap.com, we are currently $49,000 over the salary cap, and I believe that includes the money we're holding on for Ryan Bates as a restricted free agent. Now, the issue for me is you still have about 2.5 million somewhere in there in draft picks coming up that you're going to have to sign. So there's not going to be, even if you pull those levers to make some money, there's not going to be a lot of money to go around. And you want to have some extra cash in your pocket going into the season in case someone goes down.
Oh, there's a lot of levers we can still pull. We didn't even restructure the big guys. We restructured Milano. Like, we didn't restructure Dawkins. We didn't restructure a lot of the White. We didn't do any of those type of things. And to answer Shiva's question over here, we don't need 10 million to sign the draft class. The way it works is they only take the top 51 salaries. So the draft cap comes in. So really, all we have to do is add our first and second round and pay those towards the cap, and then everything else falls below the top 51. So we need I think I listened to Greg Thompson. I think he talked about it, and he said it was like 2.4 or 2.6 million is what we need to open up to actually get our draft. But there's a lot of ways we can do that.
Right. So, and we're going to talk more about the draft in a little bit, but now what I want to talk about when it comes to free agency is the competition. How's the competition in the AFC looking? You talk about, especially AFC, you talk about Miami, you talk about the Jets, you talk about Patriots haven't done anything. But look at the quarterback signings throughout the AFC. How is the competition looking? Where do you stack the Buffalo Bills as far as where they ranked as far as the other AFC teams, and are they still the favorite in the AFC East? Tom, I'm going to start with you.
Yes.
Yes.
Still the favorites in the AFC East.
Okay.
Now, if we're going to talk AFC in the whole,
Yeah.
I still think we are top dogs. According to Vegas, we're top dogs right now. Like we are Super Bowl favorites. But in my eyes, I think we did enough. I think we added a lot of good pieces, including coaching staff. And honestly, at the end of the day, it boils down to the quarterback. Who has the best quarterback? Because, the Raiders added a lot of good pieces, but can Derek Carr take them to that next level? I don't think so. Then you go down to Tannehill, right? Yeah. So there's a lot of questions at quarterback still. Russell Wilson's still getting, he's getting a little older, right? We handled Russell Wilson very well when he was in Seattle. So, yes, the AFC got stronger, including the Chargers. A lot of teams loaded up. But I think overall, we have the best overall team with the best overall coaching staff, in my opinion. And then we'll see what happens with the draft. So, yes, we are still top dogs.
Mike?
Yeah, I don't disagree with Tommy. I actually have a little bit different reason though. Let's just take Miami for example. Yeah, they got better. They went out and they traded for Tyreek and they signed Teron Armstead and Connor Williams. That's great. You know what? They have a brand new coach that's putting a brand new scheme in.
Right.
Yep.
It's not gonna click overnight. Let's go look at Denver. Denver has a brand new coach, a brand new scheme. They have a brand new quarterback. Although, Russ is a vet and he's only been in one spot, his whole career. So it's going to be a different look, different guys. It's going to take time to gel. Go look at Kansas City. Kansas City got worse. They signed Juju and MVS and to replace Tyreek. Tyreek's game-breaking speed is, I've heard a lot of the talk about, is Patrick Mahomes going to become, ordinary? No, Patrick Mahomes still really good. He's a fantastic quarterback. Now, is he going to have those plays where he can run around, just throw as far as he can, and Tyreek's going to go track it down? Probably not. He's just a unique talent. The dude caught a 3-yard slant, outran everybody on the Bills team. They're not going to have that anymore. That capability. I think they got worse in that aspect. They let Tyrann Mathieu go. He was the heart and soul of that defense. They brought in the Reed, the safety, but he's not the same as Honey Badger. So you can go down and you look at each one. The Raiders got better.
Yep.
But that defense, they signed Chandler Jones to go on the opposite of Crosby, but they traded away what's his name?
Mac?
Nope.
No, I'm not thinking Mac. I'm sorry.
Yannick Ngakoue, right?
Yeah, Ngakoue. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Ngakoue. Yeah, so they traded him away. So you replaced one great edge rusher with another, but they didn't do anything to the secondary. So you can look at it across the board, like what the Bills do. You should look at who the Bills lose.
Yeah.
And then who do we add? We net gained. Like a lot of these other guys have lost a lot. They don't have a bunch of net gains. It really comes down to what kind of system are we going to run? If we're putting a whole new system in, then yes, we'll fall in that line as well. Yeah. But I have a feeling that we have enough veteran coaches in that room around Dorsey. We're going to be just fine.
Right. Yeah. I will say this to cut you before you go, Joe.
Yeah.
Is there a way you could pull up the schedule? Because I'm going to tell you guys right now, everybody in the chat,
schedule.
Everybody in the chat talking about record. Listen, the NFL hooked us up last season. They didn't do us any favors this year. If you pull up that schedule,
it's not just that.
It's brutal, man.
But you know what? The rest of the AFC East got hit with the same schedule because you have to remember.
No, I get it.
I get it. AFC West is the schedule. The first place we play Kansas City. The second place they play. That one. That entire West is freaking stacked now, so it doesn't matter which one you play. You got.
But then we got the Rams. Then you got the Rams, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you got the it's a brutal. Listen, there's only a couple games I'll sell on there where I'm like, okay, the Lions, the Bears.
But you know what? We're gonna find out what the Bills are made of. We had this schedule 2 years ago, and we had we were 13-3. We had that.
Yeah, I agree.
Schedule.
I totally agree, but like you are right. We are going to find out what we are made of early on, because I have a feeling, and I'm hoping we play the Rams the opening day of football. I'm hoping we find out.
Hen Dog comes in and says, "Heck with it." He's gonna throw it up and say Juju somewhere, like he used to do with Hill. Juju is not Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, I don't think I'll get the whole schedule up here, Tommy, but I actually have that as a topic conversation as well to talk about. So when we get that up, we'll give you the schedule. For me, the Bills are the best. See, my fear is, the Super Bowl favorite in March rarely wins the Super Bowl, right? Like, it doesn't happen all the time. It happened 3 years ago with Kansas City. Having a few years with New England because, they were obviously the favorites. But it's rare that a team that is the Vegas favorite in March wins it all. Now, you can say the NFL's rigged. You can say whatever you want, but those are just the numbers. That's just how it works. But I think the Bills are the best team in the AFC for one reason and one reason only. If for only one reason, let me say that. If for only one reason, it's because we have the best quarterback in the NFL. We have the best quarterback in the NFL. Whether you want to believe, and listen, I get so much hate about being, some of my takes, how they're not always pro Buffalo Bills. Looking at this from a non-Buffalo Bills standpoint as best I can, we have the best quarterback in the NFL. Period. I love Patrick Mahomes. Everything I hate about Patrick Mahomes has nothing to do with Patrick Mahomes. It's about his family and just the hype around him. But I think we have the best quarterback in the NFL, and until I see something else, no one can prove me otherwise. But you got that guy from, and I don't know his name, one of you FS1, who is a huge Chiefs fan.
Wright?
Nick Wright. Okay, Nick Wright, who dogged Josh Allen for years. He hated on Josh Allen. He comes out and says, "I will never hate on Josh Allen again." After the Chiefs win, he comes out, the first thing he says is, "I will never hate on Josh Allen again," because Josh Allen has proven and Josh Allen has had more haters than any quarterback currently playing in the NFL, and except for maybe Deshaun Watson now, but that's a different story. That's just a different story. But he has proved them all wrong, and I think that is one of the reasons, including what Mike and Tommy said, that the Buffalo Bills are currently the best team, not only in the AFC, but in the NFL. We watched that Chiefs-Bills game last year. That was the best game all season between the two best teams. Yeah. I don't care what anyone else says. And like Mike said, the Chiefs got worse, and we net gained. We saw what happened with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers last year. They ain't changed a thing. And there's a saying, and I agree with the saying, if you're not getting better, you're getting worse. And when Tampa signed everybody back, I was like, that's not good. Like, everyone was talking it up, like, oh, they're going to run it back. Well, they're going to run it back and run themselves into the ground, and that's what they did.
Same with the Bills. The Bills were worse last year than they were in 2020. We ran it back, and we were worse. We had a worse record. We didn't go as far. We were worse than we were the previous year.
It's true.
Yeah, you have to get better. Make changes to get better. Otherwise, you're getting worse.
Right. Yep. And we definitely did that this offseason so far.
So, Joe, I want something that you said in there, made me think of something. So you said that most of the time the team that is predicted to win in March doesn't win. Right. Most of the time that happens, though, is because they say a team wins free agency.
Right.
The hype, Cleveland 1 year, the Eagles years ago, always the KC or the Rams or Brady or whoever. Because they win free agency, they're going to win the Super Bowl. You know who's winning free agency right now? Miami.
Yep. No, you're
right. I don't. And they're talking about Miami knocking off Buffalo. You got Chad Johnson or Ocho Cinco out there saying there's no way Buffalo can beat this Miami team now.
Yeah. Okay, they still have Tua, right?
Yeah.
Right.
It's not even that. They still have the offensive line, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Josh Allen owns that defense. They didn't do anything to that defense. It's the same defense.
And Josh Allen's what, 6-1 against 7-1 against the Dolphins?
7-1, and the one is because our tight end dropped a touchdown pass at the end.
Charles flipping Clay. Thank you. I'm miserable now.
So I want to bring that up because although I do agree with you a lot of times, I'm not worried about the Bills because we're not considered a big free agency winner. Everyone's. Right. I think I've listened to a bunch of shows and everyone gives us like a B plus offseason. Great. Let's keep it that way. We don't need to have the A+ offseason.
Mm-hmm.
I'm shocked. Sauce Gardner now. Did what we did.
Don't give me Sauce Gardner now.
All right, so I just got it done, so we'll bring it up right now. I'm going to give you the Buffalo Bills. And guys, remember, the schedule's not out yet as far as when we play these teams or anything like that. Right now, we just know the opponents we play.
Correct.
And here, I'm going to put this in the middle for all of us to see. I think I got them all in there. Here are our opponents at home. We got Green Bay, Minnesota, the Titans, the Steelers, the Browns, the Dolphins, the Jets, and Patriots. Of course, our divisional stuff. And like Mike said, it's all about winning the division. We might not get that first round bye, but I also think about the schedule on like the AFC West. They're going to beat each other up. It's going to be fun to watch.
So it's the South.
So it's the South, and so it's the North.
Yeah.
The Steelers aren't where they used to be,
dude.
but
the AFC is loaded this year.
Loaded, absolutely loaded. In fact, I think, even though the AFC East is top heavy, it might be one of the either the worst or second worst division in the AFC right now.
Yeah.
The South might be the worst, but yeah, I mean the AFC is loaded. But I think the Bills have a good shot of winning the AFC East, and then you win your division, you get the home playoff game. Who knows what happens after that? We just so happened with Cincinnati. Cincinnati ran the table and got to the Super Bowl. We'll see what happens with the Buffalo Bills. So that's the schedule. I know that Tommy wants us to play the Rams on opening day. And, I look at the recent schedule history.
I want the Chiefs.
You want the Chiefs?
Yep.
But
I want to go to the Chiefs and one and smack them down.
Yeah, but Mikey, I'm saying like
it would be a Thursday night game.
Opening night football.
I know.
They always put the best opponent versus the Super Bowl champion.
I get it.
I haven't looked at the Rams schedule though, but
they don't put the best. They had Tampa play Dallas last year.
That was a great game. Whoa.
It was a great game.
But they did it for a reason, Joe. They did it because Dak was coming back. They did it because Tom Brady just won a Super Bowl. It made sense, right? It was the NFL's. It's a business. They're smart. They know how to. And listen, Von Miller leaving LA, right? Josh Allen going against the Super Bowl champions, the game that we should have been in, right? They can hype this up so much, and
you're telling me you want to get just as easy hype up LA versus Tampa Bay.
Sure, they can, but I still think they could. Listen, Von Miller leaving that right there. I don't know. I'm just saying. Yes, they can. You're right. But I would be hyped for that game.
That game,
the Chiefs game.
Opening night. Oh, yeah. How do you not want opening night?
That game's going to be a primetime game, no matter when it's played.
Josh Allen in a dome. Yeah. Josh Allen in a dome,
dude. And I would just love to show what we could have done.
Go out there and just mop them up.
Yeah, dude. You
have to remember we beat them 2 years ago when they came to our place.
Right.
I know.
Yeah. Guys, just a reminder, if you're just joining the chat, make sure you hit that thumbs up on this video and join us. Again, we're going to do this every other week, or at least try to. Tommy, Mike, myself. That means we have 2 more episodes before the draft. Obviously, Hashtag Sports will have covered throughout the NFL draft as well. So if you're not subscribed to Hashtag Sports, be sure to do so. Like I said, hit that like button. Plenty of time this evening, fellas. Before we got on this stream, you guys were talking about it, and by talking, I mean I heard a lot of yelling going on while I was trying to fix up my computer. But we're going to talk about a little bit now. We're going to talk about the NFL draft, but not the players. We're going to talk about trades. Do we like where the Buffalo Bills sit in the NFL draft, or do we think we should trade up? Do we think we should trade back due to cap space? Tommy, you start us off. You have an opinion that might not be shared by many, but go ahead and take it. And who do we trade, or what do we trade, should I say, if the Bills trade up? Mike, let him do it. Let him do it.
It's not, listen, I want to get this right because Mike Mike understands what I'm saying now. I'm not saying that the Bills should trade Tremaine Edmonds. I'm just saying it's a possibility. It's also a possibility they don't trade Tremaine and they still trade up to get the guy they like. It's not unheard of in Brandon Beane drafts. Brandon Beane drafted up to get Josh Allen. He drafted up to get Tremaine Edmonds. He drafted up to get Cody Ford. He drafted up to get Dawson Knox, Spencer Brown. The list goes on and on and on. Brandon Beane is not afraid to pull the trigger on a guy he really likes. And the guy I really like, and I'll quick get to that, is Ahmad Gardner. He is the freakish cornerback, the height, everything we need. He could come in right away and play CB1 while Trey's out immediately. I am sold on him. I think if Brandon Beane has the opportunity to trade, to get up to that spot, to get a guy like that at that caliber, you do it, and you have no hesitation. And I will say one more thing before I let Mikey go. We traded for Diggs, and we gave a first-round pick. So don't give me the whole Brandon Beane want to trade a first-round pick. He would definitely do it, 100%. And, yeah, it might take another first-round pick for next year's draft, but who cares? I don't give a shit. If it's a guy that could come in and make an impact right away on a position that we desperately need at corner, I'm all for it. All for it. Go ahead, Mike.
Mike, okay. Do you have an opinion? I just wasn't on that. Sure.
First off, you don't trade your middle linebacker when you're in an all-in season to go up to get it. However, we'll have a very calm conversation about that. We've now talked it through it. We're okay. So, do I see us going up to get Sauce Gardner? I would absolutely love it. Give me Sauce Gardner all day long. Would I be willing to throw my first round in next year to get Sauce Gardner? Absolutely. Do I think it would cost us way more than that? Yes, I do, because I think Sauce is going to go top 5. So we'd have to get up there. I don't think we would pay the price, because I think it'd be both ones, be this year and next year, along with a second, a third, and a bunch of others. And
it's right here.
I saw that. Yeah. Oh, I got you, Tommy. There you go.
So yeah. Thank you, Hen Dog. I've been telling Tommy all day, mute yourself, dude. Mute yourself. So, you don't understand, me and Tommy have been going at this since this morning in text message. So, but ultimately, yeah, I would love to get Sauce. However, I don't think we need to mortgage the future to get Sauce. So there is a lot of cornerbacks in here that fit our system.
Sure.
Probably second, McDuffie fits. Cam Britt-Taylor fits. Kobe Bryant fits. Sauce's tag team partner. He fits. There's a USC kid, Isaac something or other, Isaac Stewart or something like that is his last name, out of USC. Martin Emerson out of Mississippi State. You can go down the line. There's probably a list of 12 guys I can see that would fit in the system. And on top of that, you know that Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott and that defensive staff molds cornerbacks. That's what they do. Now, would I like that elite guy? Yes, absolutely. Do I think he's gonna do that? No, I think he's gonna stay at 25. And I would like to see, as much as if the draft falls the way I want it to, if we have a chance to grab Zion Johnson, I think we should. He's gonna be a locked down right guard for us that can play in any of the interiors. If he's gone, I would love to see us grab an elite receiver.
Sure. Yeah, but every time someone says if the draft goes as I want it to, it's like it's not. It's not.
I've seen a bunch of different mocks, and only in a few Zion Johnson's not there. It really depends on how it falls. When they start the runs, do the tackles, do the runs on DNs happen first? Does the run on tackles happen first?
Well,
do the runs,
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but you always know there's one team in the top 10, and we don't know who that's going to be, the Jets. But anyway, there's one team in the top 10 that just goes after a guy that was mocked in the third round, and you're just like, what?
100%.
The Minnesota DN, Effie, is one of them. Drake Jackson out of USC. He was fantastic, much like Derek Stingley Jr. His freshman tape, he was projected to be the top 10 pick. then they asked him to drop a bunch of weight, and they played him outside, and they dropped him. And for the last 2 years, he wasn't nothing. He's projected to go in the third now. I can see a team looking at that freshman tape now that he's bulked back up for the pros and say, I can get that freshman year out of him again, and someone take him late first.
But I will say this real quick. We didn't trade up last season because I don't think Brandon Beane was drafting for need. And I know he always says best on board, but last year was a best on board mentality. I think he went in 100%. I really truly believe, just like when we drafted Josh Allen, that cornerback or offensive line is a need. It's a desperate need, in my opinion. And if he drafted up to get Josh Allen because it was a desperate need at quarterback, and Edmonds as well, we needed a linebacker at the time, and he saw Edmonds and said, I have to get him. He didn't have to go back into first to get Edmonds. He could have been happy with the Allen and stuck with it. So Beane is not – my point is, if Beane really wants a player, he's going to do all he can. And I feel like this draft, the main guy – and, like I said, there is some corners I like if we don't get Sauce.
Yeah.
But, my God, like, that's – if you have an opportunity, I think Brandon Beane would go for it. Go ahead, Joe. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, first I want to say I like the one comment someone said that if we get Sauce, imagine the trademark potential or whatever. Yeah. So that's pretty funny.
Joe, before you finish that, there's a guy in the draft, and I know we're not talking draft tonight. There's a guy in the draft that I think would fit the Bills perfectly. Daxton Hill. He is the Michigan safety who can play safety, corner, or slot. He has the ability to play all three. If for some reason we get down late and we stay at 25 and a lot of our primary guys, those elite guys are gone, I could see McDermott and Beane saying, that guy is our guy. He runs in the 4-3s. He's 6 foot. He can play any of the three positions. He could be this year's, hold us over at corner until White gets back, and then he could be the future replacement for Poyer or Hyde.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, Tommy, what we just heard is we know what we need to do homework on. The guy we need to do homework on before we go on 2 weeks from now.
Daxton Hill.
That's the guy, Daxton Hill. We got to make sure you do our homework on him. So I want to give a little bit of a different. Give me 1 second. I want to give a little bit of a different take and see what you guys think about it. What if Beane decides to trade back and get picks, not just this year, but next year and years to come? Because here's why. We have a lot of short-term contracts, right? And we're running short on salary cap space next year already because, as Tommy said, there's going to be people we need to sign possibly. If Beane wants to take a chance on his skills and the scouting team, if he trusts the scouting team that much, we trade back, pick up more picks next year and the following year, then we're talking about having picks set up for when these contracts expire that really save us a lot of money in the future. Now, Mike, you talk about 2 years from now, we have a lot of cap space. Well, you still got Diggs, Ed Oliver, Edmonds. If you want to keep all those guys, which I'm not saying you do or you don't, but if you do, then one way to work around that is to get a lot of rookie contracts under your belt. And that way you have that money freed up to get those big contracts. So if you ask me what I want us to stay pat, because the older I get, the more I hate trading up in the draft or trading back. The only time I like trading is when it's Stefon Diggs and it works out as well as it did. And let's be honest, it worked out well for both teams.
Well, you like the Josh Allen trade up, didn't you?
Not at the time, actually, no. Not
but
the time.
did you?
Were you not the Josh Allen guy? Who'd you want?
I was not Josh Allen. Listen, and unfortunately,
if you guys gonna listen to this guy,
yeah. If you guys, I'm a Josh Allen guy now. I've been a Josh Allen guy for the past 3 years. I unfortunately, in some regards, have receipts as to how I felt about Josh Allen because of my work on Believers Talk.
That one hurts, Tom, when you look at it.
Man.
That one hurts when you look at it, huh?
I had Josh Allen ranked, I believe, as my 6th best quarterback coming out of the 2018 NFL draft.
Did you have him behind Mason Rudolph?
I had him behind Mason Rudolph. I had him behind the guy from Richmond. I had him
you were losing so much credibility, Joe.
Yeah, Joe. I know. I get you. I think that was a good draft pick.
Joe, we're gonna have to talk about your draft prep.
Yeah,
we're gonna have to talk about your draft prep.
Man, yikes.
So I was not. In fact, when we traded up, I was with my buddy, and he was a huge Josh Rosen fan. And even though I was not a huge Josh Rosen fan at all, but he wanted to get Josh Rosen so badly.
Someone just came in and said they're embarrassed to be listening to you right now.
Touche.
You're not listening to me. You're listening to Tommy and Mike. I'm just here for comic relief, apparently. So, but I did want to talk about that a little bit. And next 2 shows, we will definitely break down the NFL draft more and more. Guys, to be honest, that's what I had as far as scheduling topics. So if you guys have something else you want to talk about, we talked about Stefon Diggs. We talked about the Buffalo Bills schedule. We talked about free agent reaction. So if there's something you guys want to talk about in the chat, or Mike, Tommy, you guys take it from here and say, hey, let's talk about this real quick. Let me know, and I can form an opinion.
Mikey, man. Mikey always has something on his mind.
Sorry, I was responding. I was responding to you. Anyways.
I do want one thing. I want to say real quick that came out today. The stadium deal, by the way, is getting done, guys. So if you want a golf clap for that, we are staying in Buffalo. No worries. If anyone was worried, which I never was.
The vote's taking place Monday, right?
Yeah. They got approved. They got and the NFL, I think, approved them on a loan as well.
Yeah. That's being voted on Monday.
It's going to happen.
The committee voted it today. It goes to the owners on Monday.
It'll happen. So just to let you know, Buffalo's staying. They're getting a new stadium, so thank God for that. No worries. But go ahead, Mikey.
Yeah. So now not a ton extra to talk about tonight. I'm in total draft prep now. I've turned my attention. I'm outside. Don't expect a whole lot of more moves. I'd love to see a vet cornerback come in. I'm a little disappointed we haven't had one. And I guess let's talk a little bit about Ryan Bates. He signed the deal with Chicago.
Yep.
So at least if he leaves, he's not going to the Patriots. Right. I appreciate that.
Right.
And here's my take. And I told Tommy this when we were talking about it offline. I'm all for the players going to get their bag. If he got a good deal and it's outside of our comfort zone, good for him. Go get your money.
Yeah, no, actually, Tommy, I want to talk about the new stadium. Are you guys pro dome or open stadium?
I would love a dome, but it's not going to happen, Joe. I would love a dome or retractable. It's just not going to happen. It's about money, and that would cost more if we're going to be real. But if they build the stadium where the wind won't, because there's ways to design where the winds won't be crazy.
It's mostly covered. The way they said they were building the dome is it's going to cover most of the fans, so they won't get like the inclement weather on them.
That's what I'm good with that. So like I'm cool either way. But would I prefer a dome? Yes, because I think Josh Allen would fucking light it up at home, right? Because let's be real, they came out, all the players have said they would prefer a dome.
I love that. Build the dome so they can host WrestleMania.
Absolutely.
By the way, we will never have a Super Bowl here, in Buffalo because of that. It's just not gonna happen. If we had a dome, possibly,
My take was this.
Detroit. I mean, God damn.
Yeah. So my take is this on the dome. I live in California. I don't get a say. It's not. I don't live in Buffalo. I don't have to pay the taxes that's going to go to there. So I don't really get a say. But if I'm looking at it from a business standpoint, would you want a dome to where you can use it all year around for a bunch of other attractions, or do you want a field that just is used 18 times a year?
Right.
Right.
Probably a little bit more because we'll be in the playoffs for a long time. But I get what you're saying.
But I'm saying 18 times a year.
You're right.
17, 18 times a year. Because you can still bring like big bowl games and stuff up here and stuff like that in a new in a new field like that. So you'll have your 8 to 9 home games plus all your playoff home games. But that's that's what 11, 12 max of home games a year.
I think the scariest thing for me has nothing to do with stadium. It has to do with tailgate scene. I think the first year that new stadium's built, the tailgate scene is going to lose something, and I hope that Bills Mafia just figures out a way, because I think the tailgate scene might take a hit. But you look at this from a business standpoint, like you said, Highmark is not going to be the sponsor of this stadium for too long, because once we get a new stadium, we're going to be looking for a new sponsor of that stadium. And it's going to be interesting to see who that sponsor is, because whoever that sponsor is brings in more dollars too. So and the Bills being good at this time obviously helps out. We expect ticket prices to go up a bunch, guys, just to let you know. Not only are your taxes going up.
You can host a Bon Jovi concert.
Listen, I'm about to ban you for that comment. You got mad at me. You got mad at me for my Josh Allen take. I don't want to hear a Bon Jovi. I have said this on multiple occasions during live streams. My mom listens to my live streams, and she got mad at me over what I said about Bon Jovi the one time. I think Mike, you were there, right?
I think so.
Yeah, like it was this past year, and I said Bon Jovi can choke on a chicken wing or something. I said something, and she was like, "Joe," I was like, "What? It's the truth. Screw him. You're back to Canada, you stupid nut job." And for him to come out and say he's not gonna do another concert in Buffalo, like, screw that guy.
Because he didn't win the bid.
Yeah, he didn't win the bid.
Yeah, that's it. That's all it was about. Yep.
Yeah.
That's fine. Buffalo's not missing much. They're like, okay.
No, well, he would have moved the team to Canada, right? I mean, if he bought the team, he would move the team to Canada. Him and Trump would have both moved the team to Canada. So
he's on fire. It's my life, Joe. It's my life. He's on fire tonight. I love the chat when they get like this.
Speaking of, he actually made a comment earlier about that Twitter thing. So I will real quick say what my Von Miller take was. I'm not going to get into the saltiness of everything that went back and forth on Twitter, but when I tweeted that on Twitter, I didn't have any knowledge of the contract other than the file numbers, right? Like I was with my, and I even said this, like I was with my kids and I was hanging out with them, playing around. I saw it on my phone. I saw just the initial number, and it was an eyebrow raiser, right? It was like, whoa, where did this money come from, and what does this mean for the rest of our team? And even with the way it's breaking down, which looks nice, it still handcuffs us. Mario and Paul did an episode on this not too long ago, maybe like 2 days ago, about Edmonds and Oliver. You're probably only keeping one, like just because of the way this contract breaks out. And I know some people don't like Edmonds, so they're okay with that. But Edmonds is a really good middle linebacker. I know, and we talked about this off camera a little bit. We don't understand why people hate Edmonds so much. We don't, but maybe it's because he's next to Milano. Milano's just a beast, but I don't know. But that's pretty much the short and narrow of what I wrote on Twitter. I just didn't know the contract details, and you have to look at from a business standpoint. And another thing, and I said this as well, like everyone was like, I'm not gonna piss my pants because we signed a great player. Like we've signed great players in the past. I want the results. I'm a results oriented guy at this point. I think the tweet I wrote back was, we've won divisions, we've won free agency, we've won drafts, we've won everything. The only thing we haven't won is the Super Bowl, and that's all I want. And that's when I will get pissed drunk excited over the Buffalo Bills once again. So that's my take. Yeah. That's all.
Yeah, I agree.
Horrible take, Joe. Now I'm gonna have to say nasty things to you.
Hey, man. Hey, Joe, you got to get tough skin when you're on Twitter, brother.
Yeah. They might take my Twitter privileges away with that take. Listen, imagine if the people who hated me on Twitter for that take heard about my Josh Allen take in 2018. Just imagine.
I would have befriended you right away, bro.
It wasn't just you. There was a comment about Edmonds, and I just popped in, and I'm like, there was a thread of just bashing him. I'm like, really? I truly believe the hate comes from that we moved up in the first round and took this guy, and everyone was expecting him to be the next great middle linebacker, the Luke Kuechly. I said, if you go look at the advanced stats, him and Milano are very similar. Everyone loves Milano. He was a 5th-round pick. That's why they love Milano so much. And they just went to town on me in there. I'm like, that's fine. Go look at the stats, guys. Go look at the tape. They're very similar players. He's a little bit better, run run stopping over Milano. Milano's better pass coverage. But
you know
Milano's asked to cover this zone. Yeah. Think about how much room Tremaine is asked to cover in the middle.
Yeah.
But I don't even know, Mike. I don't even know if it's about. Maybe that has a little bit to do with it where he was selected. But Bills Mafia is weird, man. Like Bills Mafia will get attached to a certain guy and get disattached to a certain player. Like I'll give you Devin Singletary. He was a third round pick, and Bills Mafia is also you either hate him or you love him. Like there is no like I like him. He's good. Like no, it's either we like him or I hate Singletary. I mean, second season people wanted Moss to start, and Singletary had a decent year. So my point is, Bills Mafia has been known to do this. We did it with Duke Williams. We did it with Touchdown Jesus.
Well, Duke
there's
Williams.
guys. No, but my point is,
there's start on Duke Williams.
No. My point is, Bills Mafia. We like to do that. Yeah. We latch onto a player, right? Like the feel good player. We really want we hate a player.
Hate a guy.
Or right, the Edmonds hate.
There's no middle tier with the Mafia. You're either beloved or you're hated. One of the two.
And the Mafia is very hard to change the Mafia's mind, right? Like once their mind's made up on a player, like that's it. You can't even talk. You know. I remember, and it's funny because this name came up again. I wish I could pull it back up, but
Christian
I don't know how to
Wade.
scroll up in the comment section. I'm trying to scroll up, not working. All right. But Zay Jones, right? When we drafted Zay Jones, and I could go off on a tangent about this guy too. I think Zay Jones was done dirty by the Buffalo Bills. I don't think that Zay Jones was a bad player. I think Zay Jones was put in a bad situation. And it wasn't all the Bills' fault specifically. But when we drafted Zay Jones on draft day, he was supposed to be our number 2, potentially our number 3 guy. Remember that same way we traded for Anquan Bolden? We had Bolden, and then after the draft, he retired to get into whatever social justice stuff. Zay Jones should never have been a number 1 wide receiver coming out of the draft ever in his life. And then he drops that ball against Carolina. We lose 9-3, which wasn't a greatly thrown ball by Tyrod Taylor, something that maybe Zay Jones still should have caught. But from that moment on, people hated Zay Jones, and I'm just like, he needed to go because he needed a fresh start.
Off-season issue where he freaked out and almost killed himself.
He kicked out a window, fighting for Jesus.
Then he came back, and he didn't fight for balls with Josh would throw him a ball, and he just run. He wouldn't come back and fight for it. Like,
a
lot of it was self-inflicted. A lot of it his hate.
Yeah,
it was very self-inflicted. I liked it.
No, he's right.
I had high hopes for Zay Jones. I mean, he had a huge, successful college career. And I thought with those hands, because he had sticky hands, and he was a great route runner. Like, I think he would fit better on this team now than the teams in, 17 and 18. And
his confidence is up too now, right? Like, I mean, didn't he just sign a big contract himself?
Yeah, with the Jags. Because
I'll give you another player who signed a decent contract who was terrible here. And I still think he's bad. Ray McLeod.
God. He just got.
I'll give you another one. Vernon Butler just signed with the
right,
Raiders.
Bro.
Yeah, right.
What are you doing?
Yep.
You didn't learn.
He was replaced by practice squad guys, and the Raiders still signed him. Oh.
We got another guy too, real quick in Buffalo, receiver that who reminds me of a pass receiver. If you guys remember Marcus Easley.
Yeah.
So we have our guy now, Isaiah. What's his Hodgins?
Yeah.
He is so. I swear it's like Joe. It's like deja vu because I remember the hype with like Bills Mafia really wanted Easley to like be that guy. Like remember a training camp, he had a good, but he kept getting hurt. Yeah. Then all he ever turned out to be a special teams guy, and
he had so much talent. He just never could get.
But Hodgins
healthy enough to get on the field. Yeah,
right.
Well, the difference with Hodgins has fantastic route running ability, fantastic.
Can't stay healthy.
He's slow. He's also slow.
He is slow. He is slow.
He doesn't have that explosion, that quick burst. You don't even need long speed like because when it came out, it was Team Hodgins or Team Davis here at hashtag. It was one or the other. Your hashtag was one or the other. And I was actually team Hodgins because I saw like the routes. I'm like, oh, he's gonna fit great in that like little slot because that time was all about the precision passing. You know, getting the ball out quick for Josh. Those short, we need those separators, those quick guys. And then you got on the field and he just was so slow. Like he couldn't get separation. You know, and that's the difference between college, where you have a great career, and the pros.
Yeah, and he can't even stay healthy enough to be a special team guy, like an Easley, who was actually a very good special teams for like 2 seasons. So
James Hardy, there's another one.
Yeah, I was gonna say wide receivers we love to hate now.
R.I.P. James Hardy. He died last year.
Yeah.
You know,
forgot about him.
Yeah,
another guy
out of Indiana. They thought he was the was going to be the guy.
Right.
Remember they were comparing him to Molds. You know,
I knew they had him like as our red zone target when we drafted him, right? Like he was gonna be the guy to get us the touchdowns in the red zone, and yet no.
Yeah, Donnybrook comes in and says Cup's a 4.7 on a good day. The difference is Cup's explosive, short area explosiveness.
Yeah,
he can create that separation to be able to catch the ball. That's the difference between Cup and Hodgins. Maybe Hodgins can. We just haven't seen it, and he hasn't been healthy enough to show it. But like we saw him in preseason last year, and he just looked so slow.
Yeah, he right now he's Mike. He's buying time, bro. I'm gonna be honest with you. He's buying time.
He is an amazing route runner, though. He's an amazing route runner. He just doesn't have that quick twitch explosion that he needs to, That's all about separation, guys, and especially in that. I'm one comes and says I'm curious about OJ Howard. So here's something I'll ask you, Tommy. What do you see the roles of OJ Howard? Is he going to play tight end too, or do you think they're going to flex him out to a big slot?
No. I think what their plan is, I have a feeling, is that Dorsey's going to do a couple 2 tight end sets, which is going to really be helpful for this offense with Josh. It's another big target for Josh to go to. And I listen, he's fast, he's athletic, yards after catch is amazing. I just feel like he's going to be a danger on this team if he can stay healthy. I just do, and I think Ken Dorsey's just looking at the chops, just going, "What can I do with this kid?" Because he's young, talented, and then you got Dawson Knox on the other side. Man, dude, you guys, it's gonna be a very fun offense.
We have a ton of weapons.
I love Spin's comment.
Yeah. Donnybrook comes in and asks, "Am I the only one who likes Alex Pierce in the 4th?" I'll be perfectly honest with you, Donnybrook. You're talking about the 2 guys that aren't really big draft guys yet that haven't dug in. I don't think Alex Pierce makes it to the 4th. I think he's going to be late 2nd, early 3rd. He's very much a Cooper Kupp type of guy. Big, tall, white kid, fast. He runs faster than Cooper Kupp, though, but he runs routes a lot like him. I have a feeling he's going to go late 2, early 3. I don't think he makes it to the 4th round.
Yeah,
people are going to fall in love with that.
I have not completely dove into the water of the draft. I'm out of the kiddie pool though. I'm somewhere in that range. I'm at the point where it still says don't dive in the side, like no diving. Right. But I'm out of the kiddie pool. So when it comes again 2 weeks from now, and listen, we're gonna do probably an hour and a half.
That's a great comp. It says Pierce is Jordy Nelson. That's a great comp.
There you go.
Pierce is Jordy Nelson.
Yeah,
so if we miss, and this is just a little bit of draft talk, Joe. If we miss on a 1st round elite receiver, I would love to wait until round 3 and look at like the kid out of Boise State, Skyler. I can't remember. He has a weird last name.
Sky.
No, not Sky Moore. Not Sky Moore.
Not Sky Moore.
No. The kid out of Boise State. He has a weird last name and I can't remember off the top of my head. But then like the Alex Pierce's.
I like Austin too.
Calvin Austin. Calvin Austin the 3rd. He's fantastic. There's a lot of those little guys in there.
Skyler Sabold.
Yes. Out of Boise State. That kid reminds me so much of Robert Woods, the way he runs his routes, and he's a dog in blocking. And then maybe as a later one could be the kid out of Clemson. Justin something or other. I can't think of his last name right now for some reason. I'm spacing on it. But he had a fantastic freshman year. Fantastic freshman year. And then he got hurt in his sophomore year. Then his junior year, he had a crap quarterback. Like if he could have come out his freshman year, he would have been a first-round draft pick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I just personally, Mike, I just would not draft running back or wide. I wouldn't draft a running back, wide receiver in the first 2 rounds. I'm going to be honest with you. I think they need a corner. I think they need. I
said round 3.
No, I know. I'm just saying, like, I just want to even I just want to touch it. If I'm Brandon Beane, you got to get a corner and an offensive line, either one, first and second round, and then I don't care. You can go. You want to get a running back in the third? If that's you do it. He loves getting running backs in the thirds. So
and honestly, the difference between the 3rd round running back and the 5th round running back or 6th round running back isn't very much. So if you're going to wait till the 3rd, wait until the 6th.
Right.
And it's Justin Ross.
I'm
was
good
his
with
name.
that.
And Tommy, you brought up earlier in the stream, like we've done so well with late round draft picks at this point. When we get to day 3, I'm like, I'm not gonna know who these guys are now, but in 2 years they're just gonna be there. You know what I mean? You just know like they're gonna be there. Dane Jackson's just there.
Yeah, there's the Velvis Jones Juniors, who's a slot/return guys. Then you have like the Traquan Thorntons, who are guys that aren't known out of Baylor. That's super speedy. That doesn't have a lot of like game tape. So there's so many guys. Trey Turner out of Tech, who averaged 18.9 yards per catch. So can play slot or outside. Like there is a ton of receivers and cornerbacks in this draft that we're going to get some of them.
I remember what year was that? Was that just 2020? That was a deep wide receiver class, and we ended up getting 2 wide receivers late. One of which is on our starting roster now, and the other, which we just talked about, just can't stay healthy. For me, and I agree with Tommy, not just with the Buffalo Bills now, I always have a hard time drafting a running back in the first round. Saquon Barkley, for all his talent and for all his hype coming out of college, and for his rookie year, which was amazing, what has he really done? You know what I mean? Was he worth a 3rd round pick? No, not even a little bit, especially for the Giants at that time. Unless
they needed a quarterback. They needed a quarterback, and they passed on Josh Allen for Saquon Barkley.
Right.
Unless, I will say this, Joe, unless the only way I would take a running back in the first, and I was kind of okay with it if the guy fell last year with Najee Harris. If you have a late 1st round pick, I mean, like basically a 2nd round pick anyways, right? Number 30, like that's a 2nd round pick almost. If a guy like that falls to you, then I have no problem.
There is no Najee's in this draft, though. There is
no, I get that. I know that. I know that. But I'm saying last year, like I mentioned, we should get Najee if he fall to us. If not, Gregory Rousseau would be my guy, and we took Rousseau. So,
but for me, it's all about that 5th-year option. If you get a running back in the 1st round, by the time we all know about the numbers. You hit 30, start declining. So if you get a running back in the 1st round, you use that 5th-year option. Then all of a sudden he's 27. What kind of contract are you giving him at that point? You know what I mean? Like what kind of contract? You're not.
You can't pay him.
You just used it. Like if I'm in that position where I have the 30th pick and there's a running back who I really want falling, I find a team that I know is looking to get that quarterback in the 1st round. Get that fit. I'm trading with them, and then I'm using that draft capital to try to move up in early 2nd round, and then I figure out what I got. And if I don't get him, I don't get him. But at least I have extra draft picks.
It's all about cost benefit. It's all about cost benefit. It's all about the cost benefit. When you're looking at the first 2 rounds, which are premium rounds, you're looking for the premium players. You're looking for the corners, the DNs, the quarterbacks. Even the receivers isn't really the offensive tackles. Not the interior line, the receivers. The interior D line gets pushed down. The linebackers get pushed down. Like it's all about cost benefit. Is it worth a premium pick? It's not a premium position. You don't do it.
Right. Yeah. And another thing, guys, I just feel this draft is the draft for need. Like we do need offensive lineman and corner. Like we, you know what I mean? Like this is the draft. You got to do it. You can't, because I felt like last year we skipped on the corner, right? We didn't really address it in the free agency.
Well,
we didn't address
the
it.
corner class, had a couple elite guys that went before we got there, and then there was, Bean came out and said, he's like, it wasn't worth the cost. Like, if you take a 4th round value corner in the 2nd round, and the Bills Mafia is looking for him to start playing. We took him in the 2nd. He's like, but he wasn't going to beat out anybody on our roster.
Yeah, I get it. So but this is the year now. But this is the year now, Mikey. They have to make that. Now you got it. You have to. Right?
No, you don't have to.
Well,
you can always go to the free agency pool and figure it out. Pull a couple more of those levers and go find some bets.
And they could look at what happened last year after Trey White got hurt and say, listen, with our defensive scheme and with Poyer and Hyde back there, we don't need that elite cornerback. We have one, and he's coming back, but we don't need that. We still had a good pass defense.
It came back to bite us in that. It came back to bite us in that Chiefs game.
Yeah, and Cam, I'll be honest, I like Dane. I do. I think Dane Jackson still has room to grow. His ceiling's still up there, but Cam is. I'll be honest, Joe. I'm not 100% confident. Even with our defensive line rushing the quarterback has to get rid of the ball a little earlier. That helps the corners, obviously. I'm just not sold on Cam Lewis going into the season as CB2 because obviously Dane Jackson will be the CB1.
I'm with you on that.
I just not comfortable with it, man. So
I'm with you on that.
We don't. Yeah, go ahead.
Donnie Brooke comes in and asks about Bradbury. He's not hearing any chatter. The problem with Bradbury is Bradbury has a $13 million cap hit.
Right.
So we can't trade for him unless they release him, and then we could sign him. Or there's some kind of
I like
player for player trade.
I wish you got Hayden.
From what the Giants have said, they're going to hold Bradbury even if it's at the $13 million. They're not just going to give him away. So
that's crazy.
I don't expect to see anything there.
He's not.
How early do we draft a punter? Depends what punter we get. Do we get the punt god?
Yeah, it's the only guy I want. That's the only one I would.
There's another one where
draft a punter early.
No,
I wouldn't draft a punter. Honestly, if it was me, I wouldn't go any earlier than a 5th.
Right.
Otherwise, how often do we punt, guys? Really?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Remember when we got guys? There were people, not me. I really like Tyler Bass from get-go, but there were people that were upset we got Tyler Bass in the 5th round.
Yeah,
and look how good he was.
Pick. I was all good for that pick.
I love that pick.
He was the best kicker coming out of the draft. I said,
and he wasn't even the first kicker taken.
Nope,
right?
He wasn't,
and he was right. So I was good. 5th round. I'm cool. Yeah, come on, man.
Yeah, I remember. And it's someone who joins us frequently. I haven't seen him in the chat, but Scott Blakely was not a fan of that pick, and he was not a fan of Tyler Bass for a lot of his rookie. Well,
you better not be walking around, Scott.
Yeah, but you also have to remember,
buddy.
You have to also remember, Bass's rookie year, he had the worst holder in football.
Right.
I mean, you saw Mason Crosby, a veteran who's never missed as many kicks until this year, screaming at him on the field.
Yep.
Dude, and I hated those. They used to do these Buffalo Bills videos of him and Borquez hanging out. I'm like, you guys are so cool and tight. Can you just tell them how you like the fucking football?
I don't disagree with you, Donnie Brook. Hack can't be our punter next year, but there's veteran punters.
So bad.
There's also the Cardona kid out of Georgia who's really good. That would be a later pick. Everyone talks about the punt god because he can kick it 80 yards, but guess what? He's never held in his life. He was both the punter and the kicker.
Right.
Whatever happened, Joe? You remember back in the day, he was like the backup quarterback.
Tony Romo happened. Yeah, he dropped the football.
Yeah, Tony
in
Romo
the playoff game
ruined it for everybody.
Tony Romo was the backup at start the year, so he.
You guys love Matt Barkley so much.
The
Barkley man could come in and hold the ball.
They brought him in. They kept when he became the starter. They kept him as the holder, and he dropped it on the extra point. Or the field goal that would have
short field goal.
Yeah.
But what if Mikey? What if we just run Barkley in there all year to hold the ball?
Maybe that's why we have 2 backups now. We can decide between Case Keenum and Scott Barkley. Then
it gets Bills Mafia will be happy.
What? That's fine. I love Barkley being the holder. Send him to holder camp. So someone's got a holder camp going on. Send him to holder camp and let him be the all-time holder. Designated holder, not Barkley.
Right. The best holder
designated hitter
ever.
The designated whatever.
The best ever.
Yep. Let him do it.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, I don't disagree with anything. I mean, I remember Frank Reich was our holder for the longest time, right? I mean, Frank Reich was our backup quarterback, and
it was traditionally backups.
You are right. Spin comes and says it's not rocket science to learn how to hold. Pat McAfee didn't know, and however, Pat McAfee was also sent to a holding camp,
right, by
Vinatieri, and he took that very serious. He said, "I'm not going to let this Hall of Fame kicker miss because of my screw up." Pat McAfee isn't the rule. He's the exception.
Yeah. How bad is Hawk when Bean came out of his presser and said he has good hands?
Your job's kicking, and
he didn't say he kicked good. He didn't say he was a good guy.
He's got great hands. So soft hands.
Yeah, he can hold the ball really well.
Wow. Bass was money all year long.
Yeah,
he was.
And if you notice, the Miami kicker was an all-pro. He lost his holder, and he wasn't all-pro anymore.
Yeah. He's a good kicker, too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, it can happen. But anyways, that's all I got. We're about an hour and a half.
Yeah, listen, guys. Again, thank you all.
Scraping for stuff now.
Yeah, thank you all for joining us on this edition of Friday Night Lights. Again, join us in 2 weeks. Again, Tommy and I will catch up to Mike as best we can, and we'll dive into this draft talk. We'll have a great time talking the NFL draft. I'm sure there's going to be other Bills news in the next 2 weeks, right? Maybe some more information on the Stefon Diggs stuff, whatever the case might be. What you said?
Traded. Who knows?
Yeah.
We'll know the outcome of Bates.
Yeah, we'll know the outcome, Bates, all that stuff we discuss the next 2 weeks. And we know that Paul Maher will have you covered the day of or shortly thereafter, and we'll cover you right here on Friday Night Lights. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Tommy, Mike, always a pleasure hanging out with you guys. We will see you all in 2 weeks. Until we do, go Bills.
Go Bills. Go Bills.
Hello, fellow Bills fans. Sean Rogers, realtor and lead of the Mr. Rogers Homes team. Did you know that real estate is one of the best ways to build wealth, and right now is one of the best times to own an investment property in Arizona? Please reach out to me. I'd be more than happy to answer any of your questions so we can take the next step to your financial freedom here in the Valley of the Sun, utilizing real estate. As always, God bless America, and go Buffalo!